Throughout history, numerous animals have taken to the skies, from tiny insects to majestic birds. But did you know that some of the largest creatures ever to fly weren't birds at all? The Hatzegopteryx was an extraordinary creature that lived around 66 million years ago. It belonged to a group of flying reptiles called pterosaurs and had some distinct physical features. Its head was elongated, resembling that of a stork, with a fragile, long neck leading down to a relatively small body. Despite its slender build, it possessed wings and was capable of powerful flights. This remarkable creature inhabited Hatzeg Island and held the position of apex predator before its eventual extinction. Hatzegopteryx ruled over its domain with strength and dominance. It belonged to a group of ancient reptiles called astounding, known for their ability to take flight despite their immense size. One of its most remarkable features was its skull, which was massive, measuring up to an estimated length of 9.8 feet. In fact, it boasted one of the largest skulls ever found in a non-marine animal. Scientists made an exciting discovery when they unearthed fossils of the Hatzegopteryx on Hatzeg Island, an isolated landmass in a subtropical region separated from the mainland by an oceanic basin. This geographical isolation meant that the animals on the island faced unique evolutionary pressures. One of the fascinating phenomena observed in island environments is a tendency for animals to either grow larger or smaller compared to their mainland relatives. This phenomenon, known as island gigantism or dwarfism, occurs in response to the limited resources and distinct ecological conditions present on the island. Surprisingly, while many dinosaurs on Hatzeg Island exhibited dwarfism due to limited resources, the evolution of Hatzegopteryx took a different path. This pterosaur defied expectations by growing to immense proportions, so much so that when paleontologists initially discovered its fossils, they mistook it for a theropod dinosaur. On an island with smaller animals like itself, Hatzegopteryx changed how it hunted to survive. Unlike other flying reptiles of its time, it became a formidable predator, utilizing its massive size and strength to dominate the skies. The first remains of pterosaurs in Romania were identified by Franz Nobska in 1899, marking a significant milestone in paleontological exploration. However, it wasn't until the late 1970s that the first fossils of Hatzegopteryx were discovered. These fossils were found during a student dig in the upper part of the Middle Densis Siula Formation of Valioara, located in northwestern Hatzeg Basin, Transylvania, Western Romania. This particular geological formation dates back to the late Maastrichtian stage of the late Cretaceous period, approximately 66 million years ago. The main example of Hatzegopteryx, known as FGGUBR 1083A, includes two pieces from the back of the skull and a broken part of the left upper arm bone. Initially, one of these fragments, specifically the occipital region, was mistakenly attributed to a theropod dinosaur when it was first announced in 1991. However, subsequent analysis revealed its true identity as belonging to a pterosaur, specifically Hatzegopteryx. The skull of Hatzegopteryx was broad and robust, adorned with prominent ridges that indicated powerful muscle attachment. Its jaw was massive and featured a blunt beak, suggesting it was well equipped for capturing and consuming prey. This creature likely had the ability to open its jaws wide, facilitating the ingestion of large amounts of food. Another notable characteristic of Hatzegopteryx was its heavily muscled neck, measuring an average length of up to 5 feet. While this might seem short compared to other flying reptiles with similar wingspans, it was still a formidable feature. Despite its relative brevity, the neck was flexible and capable of withstanding significant bending forces, determining it boasted an overall wingspan of around 39 feet, making it a truly colossal presence in the ancient skies. Despite the incomplete nature of the fossils, researchers have been able to piece together some details about their size. Standing tall on its hind legs, Hatzegopteryx would have reached approximately 18 feet in height, towering over many of its contemporaries. Its weight is estimated to have been around 250 pounds, adding to its imposing stature. While these figures provide some insight into the dimensions of this prehistoric giant, there is still much to learn about its full size and capabilities. Additionally, a 38.5 centimeters (15.2 inches) long midsection of a femur labeled FGGUBR1625 was discovered nearby, possibly also belonging to Hatzegopteryx. This femur fragment likely belonged to a smaller individual of the genus, with an estimated wingspan ranging from 5 to 6 meters, 16 to 20 feet. Other reported specimens from the locality include an unpublished mandible, presumably from a Hatzegopteryx. The name Hatzegopteryx comes from the Hatzeg or Heteg basin in Transylvania, where the fossils were found, and the Greek word pteryx, which means wing. Exciting new specimens of Hatzegopteryx have emerged from various localities, shedding further light on the characteristics and distribution of this remarkable creature. One such discovery occurred in the San Petru Formation, located in the locality of Vadu, Santa Maria Orlia. Here, paleontologists unearthed a medium-sized scapulocoracoid believed to belong to an individual with a wingspan estimated to be between 4.5 to 5 meters, 15 to 16 feet. Another significant find came from the Raparosi locality of the Sebes Formation, which lies adjacent to the Densus Siula Formation, where the initial Hatzegopteryx fossils were discovered. In this location, researchers identified a single large neck vertebra, often referred to as the RR specimen, or EME 215. While a lack of overlapping skeletal elements prevents definitive attribution to Hatzegopteryx thambima, the unique internal bone structure and the absence of evidence for another giant astarchid in the area strongly suggest its association with at least HSP. These discoveries contribute to our understanding of Hatzegopteryx and its presence in different geological formations. The life cycle of Hatzegopteryx remains largely shrouded in mystery due to the limited fossil evidence available. Similarly, the knowledge of pterosaur reproduction is sparse, but it is generally believed that these creatures followed life cycles similar to other dinosaurs. Like their dinosaur counterparts, pterosaurs, including Hatzegopteryx, likely began their lives in eggs. These eggs were leathery in texture, akin to those of modern reptiles such as turtles. While it is uncertain whether pterosaurs cared for their young, it is believed that any parental care provided was likely limited to a short period after hatching. The eggs of pterosaurs, including Hatzegopteryx, were likely buried in sand upon being laid. After hatching, young pterosaurs had a relatively short period before they were capable of flight. If Hatzegopteryx did indeed provide any prenatal care, it would have been during this brief period before their offspring attained the ability to fly independently. Due to their size, young Hatzegopteryx would have possessed formidable defenses against predators, making them less vulnerable to predation. Studies suggest that juveniles of larger pterosaur species such as Hatzegopteryx, may have occupied similar ecological roles to smaller pterosaurs, contributing to the balance of their respective ecosystems. Scientists have observed similarities between the humerus, or upper arm bone, of Hatzegopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus northropi, another famous pterosaur species. Both of these species exhibit a long, smooth deltopectoral crest and a thickened humeral head. Initially, these shared characteristics led to the classification of both taxa within the clade Astarchidae, a group of pterosaurs known for their large size and long-necked proportions. However, some researchers have proposed the idea of synonymy between Hatzegopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus due to these similarities in humeral anatomy. This proposal is based on the notion that the humerus alone may not be sufficiently diagnostic to distinguish between different species within the group of giant astarchid pterosaurs. Additionally, the lack of detailed descriptions for the elements of Quetzalcoatlus northropi further complicates matters. Despite these similarities in humeral morphology, a closer examination reveals distinct differences in the neck and jaw anatomy between Hatzegopteryx and the smaller Quetzalcoatlus species. These differences suggest that Hatzegopteryx should be retained as a separate taxon from Quetzalcoatlus. Examining the neck vertebra attributed to Hatzegopteryx reveals several distinctive traits characteristic to astarchid pterosaurs. These features provide compelling evidence for its classification within this group. Firstly, the centrum, or main body of the vertebra, is relatively low compared to other pterosaur species. Additionally, the zygapophyses, which are bony projections that articulate with adjacent vertebrae, are notably large and flattened in shape. Furthermore, the preserved portions of the neural spine, the bony projection extending from the vertebra, indicate that it is bifid, meaning it is split into two distinct halves. A comprehensive phylogenetic analysis conducted by Nicholas Longrich and colleagues in 2018 reaffirmed the placement of Hatzegopteryx within the Astarchidae family. According to their findings, Hatzegopteryx occupied a derived position within the Astarchidae forming a sister taxon relationship with both Aramborgiania and Quetzalcoatlus. Hatzegopteryx was a formidable creature that roamed Hatzeg Island during the Maastrichtian period. The climate of this subtropical island was characterized by alluvial plains and wetlands, with an average temperature of around 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Interestingly, the dinosaur remains unearthed on Hatzeg Island reveal a unique phenomenon known as island dwarfism. This means that the dinosaur inhabiting the island tended to be smaller in size compared to their mainland counterparts. It's believed that the limited food resources available on the island may have contributed to this shrinkage in size over generations. However, Hatzegopteryx thambama stood out as a notable exception to this trend. Despite the prevailing pattern of island dwarfism, Hatzegopteryx was a giant among its contemporaries. The exact reasons for this anomaly remained unclear and subject to ongoing scientific investigation. Hatzegopteryx was a big, meat-eating creature that ruled the roost on Hatzeg Island during the late Cretaceous period. Its sturdy skeleton suggests it wasn't afraid to take on prey larger than itself. Its huge jaws could open wide, allowing it to gulp down large pieces of food in one go. To support its predatory lifestyle, Hatzegopteryx underwent significant physical adaptations. Hatzegopteryx became the king of the island by making some important changes. Its neck became shorter and stronger, almost 10 times more powerful than other pterosaurs like Quetzalcoatlus. With these changes, Hatzegopteryx became the strongest predator on Hatzeg Island, ruling over all other animals there. Hatzeg Island was home to many small dinosaurs, but Hatzegopteryx's massive size made it to the top predator, effortlessly hunting down its prey. Some experts believe it wasn't picky and would eat a variety of creatures, including other types of flying reptiles called astounding pterosaurs. Hatzeg Island in the late Cretaceous was a bustling ecosystem teeming with fascinating creatures. Among them, Hatzegopteryx stood out with its robust anatomy, suggesting it could take down prey larger than its fellow astounding pterosaurs. While giants like Aramborgiania likely dined on smaller fare, such as hatchlings and tiny dinosaurs, another pterosaur, Thalassodromeus, may have also been a skilled hunter, but Hatzegopteryx wasn't alone in this unique environment. Other pterosaurs shared the skies, including the smaller Eusdarco and several unnamed species with varying wingspans. On the ground, the flightless belar, possibly herbivorous, with its distinct foot claws added to the island's specialization. Hatzeg Island was also home to a variety of dwarfed species, from titanosaurs like Megaorosaurus to hadrosaurids like Telnotosaurus. Among them were small fragmentary maniraptorans and crocodilians of different genera. The non-archosaurian residents included multituberculate mammals, lizards, a snake, and various lissamphibians, painting a rich picture of prehistoric life on this isolated island. The diverse fauna of Hatzeg Island holds significant geological importance, contributing to the area's recognition as Hatzeg Country Dinosaurs Geopark and, later, Hatzeg UNESCO Global Geopark. During the Maastrichtian period, Southern Europe was an archipelago, and Hatzeg Island was part of the Tschia-Dacia bloc. This landmass, covering about 80,000 square kilometers, was isolated from other terrestrial terrains by deep ocean stretches of 300 kilometers in all directions. Located at approximately 27 degrees north, the island had a subtropical climate with distinct dry and wet seasons, boasting an average temperature of around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. The landscape of Hatzeg Island features alluvial plains, wetlands, and rivers surrounded by woodlands dominated by ferns and flowering plants. Paleosols, ancient soils preserved in the geological record, suggest a relatively dry climate with annual precipitation of less than 1,000 millimeters, or 39 inches. Hatzegopteryx were amazing flying creatures that ruled the skies for a long time, but their reign ended when a big disaster hit Earth around 65 million years ago. A giant rock from space, maybe a meteorite or comet, crashed into our planet. This event, along with other things happening at that time, wiped out a lot of animals, including all the pterosaurs and dinosaurs. The end of pterosaurs might have been building up for a while before the big disaster. Some experts think that their special features, like huge wings for flying, might have actually made them vulnerable. As they got bigger wings for soaring, they became less nimble and struggled in strong winds. This could have been a problem because the weather was getting worse around that time, so being big might have been a disadvantage for them. Even though they eventually disappeared, pterosaurs were incredibly successful. They were the first vertebrates to fly high up in the sky. They did it for around 150 million years. What a fantastic journey they had.